Buzz's Retirement Garage here on Monday. It's a beautiful Monday in Cleveland. Yes, we had the eclipse yesterday, and those that I did the live stream and those that participated, thank you very much. It's not very good holding the phone up to the sun. The picture was not that good, in my opinion. I rewatched it last night and didn't look very good to me. But few of you that suffered through it, I appreciate you. Hey, today's video, I wanted to talk about this story that's been going on about Social Security overpayments. Back in November 5th of 2023, and I'm going to look to my notes here, so if I'm looking down, you know why. But back on November 5th of 2023 last year, CBS 60 Minutes did a story about overpayments that Social Security had made to people for different reasons, and they expected these people to pay it back. And I followed the story a little bit because, of course, I applied for my Social Security last year, got my first check December of 2023. So, you know, being new to this and not knowing all the ins and outs, you know, that story piqued my interest. You know, could I be getting an overpayment somehow, some way? So I did a video yesterday because I got a letter from Social Security yesterday on Eclipse Day that changed my payment. And when I got the letter, I was kind of worried because here I was watching this story, I was hearing about this thing going on, and all of a sudden my wife and I both get letters from Social Security, and anytime you get that, or at least in my case, I was kind of worried about it. So the story that CBS did on 60 Minutes, and you guys should check this out, and follow this a little bit because it's kind of interesting. I guess there was a 11-year-old kid who had cerebral palsy, and he was using, you know, things for his legs to walk and braces and stuff, and his mom was able to get him disability payments. Well, then evidently some years passed, and Social Security decided he should not be on disability any longer. So they went to take his payments away, and his mother appealed, and it took a couple years for the appeal to take effect, and she was denied. So in the meantime, while they were appealing it, he was getting payments. Well, now 20 years later, he's an adult, obviously, and he's getting information that he needs to repay it back. He's only working a low-level job, and he really doesn't think he has the funds to pay back almost $5,000. It was $4,900 and change. So, you know, they're chasing him down for that money, which, you know, again, doesn't seem like a lot, but that story was illustrated in the 60 Minutes report. Also, it was another couple who he was getting some disability because he had some illness, and long story short, they want this couple, they want them to pay back $51,887. Well, you know, that's a good chunk of change, and Social Security determined that they were able to pay it back because he had a pension, so they decided that go ahead and collect that money from them. So CBS does this story, and there were some other people involved in that story. Social Security turned around and said, okay, we're not going to hold you guys accountable for this. This was our mistake, and we're going to go ahead and eat those costs. Well, in the meantime, some congressmen got involved, and, you know, the story got some legs, and it started going around. And on March 25th this year, Social Security came out with some changes. But just to give you some background, real quick background, in 2022, $6.5 billion of overpayments occurred just in 1 year, according to some data that I was looking at. It only represents 0.5% of the 1.3 trillion that's dispersed every year. It's only 0.5%. But when you start talking millions and billions and trillions, you're way over my head here now. So, but anyway, on March 25th of this year, Social Security did come up with, and you guys have probably heard some of this, but they did come up with, because of this story, and it getting some legs and it, getting up there and getting visible to a lot of different people. And it's been going on for years, but they did come out with at least four different changes that they're going to make. Now, I'm trying to follow. There's a Social Security guy on YouTube, and I forget his name now, and I wish I could give him due props. But he was an administrator. He was actually a boss of one of the largest Social Security offices. I don't know if you've watched him or not, but he's pretty much in the know because he has a lot of people that he still talks to in the administration. But just pulling it off the Social Security website, four changes that they made in March 25th of this year. Number one, they're only going to pull 10% of your the payback. It's going to only be $10 or 10%, whichever is higher. So if you get an overpayment, they'll deduct 10% of that overpayment out of your monthly check until it's paid up. From the way I'm reading this, okay? Number two, reframing their guidance and procedures about burden of proof. It shifts away from the claimant, whether there is any evidence that the claimant was at fault in causing the overpayment. That's good government doublespeak if you ask me. So they're going to change their procedures to something. Now, one thing that this guy on YouTube, this former administrator, talks about is in Social Security, there's a rule and then there's an exception to the rule. Every rule has exceptions. So even though there's some guidance here, it might not be firm to every single office. They might all do things differently. Number three, the repayment will go from 36 to 60 months. And we'll leave it at that. Number four, and let me just read this to you. It's easier for overpaid beneficiaries to request a waiver of repayment in the event that they believe themselves to have been without any fault or without the ability to pay. So, I again, double speak to me. If I don't believe it was my mistake, is this telling me I don't have to pay? I'm right next to the airport, sorry. Cleveland Hopkins is right to my back left shoulder. So, easier for overpaid beneficiaries to request a waiver of repayment in the event they believe themselves to have been without any fault. So, anyway, take that for what it's worth. I guess what I'm getting at here is when you are ready to retire, or you should be on socialsecurity.gov. You should be looking at sign up for that, because you should be looking at what your estimated wage is going to, or payments are going to be, your monthly payments. They break it down by the month. So I think you can move the little slide bar. I retired at, my benefits started at 63 years and 11 months. So you can move that slide bar and it'll tell you what your payment should be. Now, if your payment is higher than that or lower than that by, quite a bit, or, something doesn't seem right, I would contact Social Security Administration just to make sure that this is not going to become an issue in the future. So I did get this letter. And I'm glad, like I said, I did this video yesterday. A couple people were quick to point out, because I kind of blamed Social Security. A couple people quickly pointed out that it wasn't Social Security's fault. And let me tell you what the letter says. So I deleted that video. So thank you to the two commenters. I don't remember the names, but I appreciate that, calling me out on it. And I'm never going to give false information if I can help it. And if you guys think I am, please make a comment. But I got this letter that says, we're writing to you about your Social Security benefits. And again, I got one, my wife got one. We changed your monthly benefit to $25.22.60. It was not that number before, as of January 2024. We found that your prior amount was incorrect. Good news, they raised it. So then it goes on to say, we changed your benefit amount to give you credit for your 2023 earnings. We didn't include those earnings when we figured your benefit amount before. So I kind of blamed them because I was like, well, wait a minute, this went through like 3 hands. I'll tell that story another day, but Social Security basically told me because it was a new person, an inexperienced person that had to go through a couple other hands, and I thought, well, for sure, mine's going to be right. Mine's going to be correct. Well, then when I got this letter, I was like, well, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why? How did they screw this up? Well, as the commenters pointed out, since I retired in 2023, they couldn't. I think maybe I estimated my earnings. It's possible I estimated them, and maybe I estimated them too low or whatever. So then once I got, I guess I got my W-2s or something. I'm not sure how they figured this out because I just filed my taxes a couple days ago. There's no way they could have sent this letter out in that time. So somehow they must have got my earnings, my 2023 earnings, and thought that whatever I estimated, it was too low, and they're compensating for that now. So I don't think that's a Social Security error. I think they were doing their job, and a good job at that, to make sure that I was being, and my wife were being compensated for my income for 2023. So just to wrap up real quick on this beautiful day, I'm heading out to Costco here in a minute, do some shopping. Buds are starting to break open on these trees here in Cleveland. But just to summarize, just take a look at your Social Security statements. Make sure when you file, let's say you're going to get $2,000 a month based on your filing date, and if you see you're getting $2,400 or something like that, definitely call it out. Don't sit back and say, "Whoo, I got $2,400," because they will come collect one day, and it could be years in the future after it's compiled month after month after month, year after year. They will catch up to you at some point. So just keep an eye on that. And that's all I got for today. Buzz's Retirement Garage. We'll talk to you later.